covering the islands of the Bahamas. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
The following portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, counterfeit luxury items may not be the biggest concern of the straw market. An investigation is underway into the alleged sale of drug paraphernalia and stolen license plates of the newly rebuilt Bay Street Market. Stephen Gay has this report on the discovery and feedback from authorities who have sought to promote a wholesome, authentically Bahamian attraction.
The chairman of the Straw Market Authority, Ron Pinder, shows off a number of pipes that can fetch as much as up to $40 and license plates that were recently confiscated in the market.
I have before me now any number of crack pipes, pipes that only could be used to either smoke marijuana or crack cocaine. We are aware that they are on sale in vast numbers in the market. We are very concerned about it because we do not want a situation where we have drug peddling around the market. They are in fact selling these license plates, which are against the law, Bahamian license plates as souvenirs. There are some of them as late as 2007, and one of them is licensed until 2013. So obviously this came off of someone's car.
Pinder said that these items are in high demand, but the authority will not condone the promotion of drug use at any level. The chairman pointed out that while these items are prohibited, in the name of balance, the authority is considering a request by some vendors found with contraband to sell off their remaining stock. Meanwhile, on the issue of counterfeit goods being sold in and around the market, Mr. Pinder confirmed that these items are currently not being sold in the downtown market. However, based on the authority's intelligence, his team is in the process of finding a way to deal with vendors who he says are operating knockoff stores in the vicinity of the market. He's calling on other government agencies, such as the Customs Department and the police, to step up and block the importation of these goods.
It has to be stopped at the border. These items are coming in, they are permitted to come in the country. And so any government agency that is seeking to address it after it comes in the country, you're really playing catch up to the illegal operation that has already exists. If these bags and illegal goods are prevented from entering the country to begin with, then we would have an easier task in policing them if they are found in the country.
Now, the chairman said with the assistance of law enforcement, the authority intends to deal with cleaning up the market. Persons found with contraband can face a fine and or suspension from the market. Mr. Pinder emphasized that the Straw Market Authority is not seeking to curb anyone's business, but rather discourage the sale of illegal items. Stephen Gay, ZNS Network News.
For years, thousands of public service workers have been under the designation temporary workers, but that may be about to change. Labor Minister Shane Gibson told a Human Resources conference today which workers the proposal may affect and gave an update on the 52-week employment program. Altovise Munnings reports.
Gibson telling human resources professionals in the public service at a workshop here at the Police Conference Center that the government intends to decrease the number of temporary workers in the public service. He announced that that will happen very soon.
Our government's committed to working out a formula in conjunction with the Public Service Union to bring all of these employees on full-time. What we're also looking at doing is seeing how we can introduce and modify our policy regarding hiring in the public service, because there are some agencies which presently don't require going through the Department of Public Service in order for employees to be hired.
And those types of employees are attached to quasi-government agencies that really don't require the public service to hire them.
At the end of the day, everybody see themselves as working for the government. And so whenever they're not able to get increments, whenever they're not able to get increases, promotions, they're not able to be reclassified, they don't hold the department that hired them responsible. They hold the government responsible.
The Labor Minister also gave an update on the 52-week employment program. Mr. Gibson acknowledged that the former Free National Movement government budgeted some $25 million for the initiative, but they reportedly hired more people than the program can handle. The current Christie administration, he says, now has to bear the $48 million cost.
that the government is reviewing it, and on a case-by-case basis, you have in some cases where individuals on the 52-week program may be the only breadwinner in the family, or without them working, the family couldn't survive. And so you either pay through it through social services, or you allow them to continue to work. I don't want to preempt the Prime Minister, but he has already expressed a concern in persons being let go from the 52-week program and not having a permanent place of employment to go or temporary place of employment to go. And he has some concern with that, and he wants us to try and remedy that as quickly as possible. And so as soon as he's ready with his announcement, he'll make that announcement.
Minister Gibson, however, reiterated the Christie administration's goal of ensuring that all public servants make a positive difference nationwide. Altovise, Munnings, ZNS News.
5 Rand Memorial Hospital employees have been placed on suspension in connection with a reported industrial action bout on the island on the weekend. The union representing the workers say, however, that the Public Hospitals Authority has overstepped its bounds because it hasn't cited what specific infraction it's linked to the suspensions. Today, Bahamas Public Service Union President John Pinder told a press conference that a department manager is among the group. He was suspended for 10 days without pay, while the 4 others were suspended for 5 days without pay. Now he says the PHA has some explaining to do, and he's giving them 48 hours to do so.
Against any penalties that does not indicate the infraction made, the violation of the policies or the violation of our industrial agreement. You must quote violations if you're going to suspend a staff to the point of suspension without salary. Some of those concerns they were upset over the fact that they were exposed to cholera and tuberculosis without any proper counsel. They were also upset over the fact that there was a lack of equipment, in particular the amount of vehicles necessary to carry out their responsibility effectively, some inadequate vehicles in terms of ambulance not functioning properly. There was a lack of gears, proper protective gears for them to use or to wear.
Now, meantime, the PHA is addressing some shortfalls within the emergency services department, including adding new ambulances. Pinder added, however, that the workers, along with the Public Service Union, are cautioning the Minister of Labor, the Honorable Shane Gibson, for what he says are threats against those workers.
And at the end of the suspension, if they're not satisfied that those persons were in fact ill, that they will move the terminations. And I am saddened by those remarks coming from the Minister of Labor, being a former trade unionist himself, knowing full well that in spite of him being minister, they still have to follow the policies, guidelines, and procedure of the Employment Act and our industrial agreement and the discipline policy of PHA. And so I do not wish to have any ministers of this government threatening unnecessarily.
Now, ZNS News spoke with Minister Gibson, who denied stating that those workers should be terminated. Gibson said that while the alleged sick-out was a very serious matter, it was handled by the Public Hospitals Authority and not the Department of Public Service, which he has oversight of. Gibson said it was the PHA who had the authority to suspend those workers because of their alleged actions. Meantime, the Labor Minister has responded generally to that reported sick-out conducted by emergency services personnel at the Rand in Freeport. The emergency services personnel had reportedly issued a letter to the Health Minister detailing a laundry list of concerns they say are long overdue to be addressed. Minister Gibson revealed the government's course of action on those.
They're not taking very lightly what was done, particularly in since we don't know how many lives could have actually been affected and persons could have actually died as a result of not being able to receive ambulance service. And so I believe the idea was that all those persons would be suspended immediately, their pay is cut, and then the Public Hospital Authority would make a decision as to whether or not their employment would continue.
In other news tonight, a teen housebreaking suspect was shot by police today. The 18-year-old of St. James Road off Shirley Street was reportedly shot around 9:30 this morning after police responded to a housebreaking on Ravax Drive, Penny Savings Bank subdivision. They say they were confronted by the suspect, who was reportedly armed with a knife. The suspect was taken to hospital, where he's detained in critical condition. Meantime, charges are expected to be filed in court tomorrow in connection with a weekend traffic fatality. A 43-year-old male of Hampshire Drive, Cable Beach, is facing charges in connection with the death of a motorcyclist, Bruce Burrows of Fritz Lane. Burrows was reportedly driving his bike west along Tonique Williams Darling Highway in the area of Workers House when he was reportedly struck by a Ford Mustang. An investigation is ongoing. Well, consumers like you aren't happy about an idea that Cable Bahamas fees could go up, but the company says there's good reason. In this report, Janaea Noel Ferguson tells us what reasons Cable Bahamas has forwarded to IRCA for the increases they're seeking.
Outcry against the $8 hike for basic cable services from Cable Bahamas persists. A closer look at the company's rationale for the price increase reveals that when compared to 25 other Caribbean countries with a similar service, Cable Bahamas' current $30 rate is one of the lowest. However, Cable Bahamas provides the 6th fewest number of channels. In its application to IRCA requesting permission for the increase, Cable Bahamas had hoped to bring the new price into effect by April of this year. However, IRCA has decided to seek public opinion on the matter before a decision is made. According to the document, the average rate of cable services in the 25 countries amount to some $36.03, with $83.08 being the highest rate in the Cayman Islands, offering 48 channels, and the lowest in Jamaica at $11.69, offering 64 channels. Other countries like Barbados offers basic cable at $51 with 58 channels, and Grenada at $27.72, offering some 80 channels. 8 of those countries had price hikes to their basic cable services. Cable Bahamas currently offers basic cable channels at 56 cents each. When presented with this information, here's what residents had to say.
They haven't increased their fees since existing, so it doesn't matter to me whether or not they increase their fees. If I want their service, I'm going to still have to pay for it no matter what.
Because people are struggling. Everybody's struggling, and normally you can't go out to enjoy yourself. Most families are home, and with us being home and now they're raising the price, a lot of people's not going to have no cable. If it was me, I'd boycott and turn it off.
Cable Bahamas also reasoned that super basic cable has remained at $30 for 16 years, and over that same period, consumer price inflation in the Bahamas has grown roughly by 37% or 2% annually. Had the price of super basic cable kept up with the rate of inflation since its launch in 1995, basic cable would be some $41. Janaea Noel Ferguson, ZNS News Network.
Amidst reports that the Paradise Island Harbor Resort has been sold at an auction, hotel executives remain tight-lipped on whether Warwick International Hotels and Resort are the new owners of the 245-room hotel. It's reported that Paradise Island Resort received a successful bid late last week during an auction at the Hyatt Regency in Fort Lauderdale. However, there's been no confirmation on whether or not the transaction was approved. The hotel's attorney, Valentine Grimes, would only tell our news team late this afternoon that a contract was entered into for the sale of the hotel and that significant interest was expressed in the property. We'll continue to follow this story. Well, still to come tonight, are you in the Junkanoo spirit? We'll tell you about plans for the upcoming parades. Stay tuned.